Having agents to be able to make that possible, I think is something that's never been feasible in the past, and we're now moving into a scenario where it absolutely is. And I don't need to worry about, getting my 75-year-old dad to try and use his computer to do the
QA,
thing.
Right? Like
exactly,
all in the family. I'm here with Luke, the CTO of AIA. Super excited to hear about what you all were doing with Agentforce and what your journey has been like. Do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, hi, Luke. I'm the CTO at AIA and responsible for all the technology that we run in our business. We're New Zealand's, proud to be New Zealand's largest life insurer, and so that comes with a lot of technology for our internal teams, advisors, and for customers. And so across my team, that's what we look after.
Well, and I know you cover a lot, right? You cover service teams, like you said, claims processing, underwriting at that massive scale, and advisor management. It's a lot of moving parts. What does digital transformation really mean to you when you're coordinating across all of these functions?
Yeah, I think we're operating the insurance business. We've been probably slower, an industry that's been a slower adopter of technology, so there is a lot of opportunity, and there's still a lot of terminal-based screens as you walk around the business.
But you can be so early, right?
We can now. I think the technology is there. We are able to move faster, and having some of the legacy technology is no longer such a reason why you can't progress and get on to current state. And we are a big user of Salesforce. It supports all of our operational business. We're heavy users of Sales Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Industries, and we've had some great success in the last few years around modernizing our Salesforce platform and taking advantage of lots of the new features that are coming available, and that has meant real benefits into our operations teams that are showing up for advisors and customers, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are full stack Salesforce, which is incredible. And you've been on such a journey with Salesforce across that stack, with Agentforce, with so much kind of going on. Can you walk through some of these major projects that you've delivered on to sort of get to where you are today?
Yeah, fantastic. One of our biggest and probably our first really big transformation that wasn't just an upgrade was in the call center environment. So it was a full transformation of a legacy on-premise telephony platform into Service Cloud Voice and enabling the team with complete all of the Salesforce tooling last year.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, but it was one of those ones that continually surprised to the upside. So we had a 3.5 month runway from business class sign off to live for our entire 250 person sort of phone-based team. So that was a really positive surprise on how quickly we could make it happen. And on the back of the go live, we were then able to take advantage of lots of the Agentforce features and seeing really great usage of just call summary, court case wrap up, and some of those high volume transactions that we're able to deploy Agentforce for the team and deliver real savings on average handling time and call processing times, which is fantastic.
I mean, you've set such an excellent foundation that building on top of that with AI and with Agentforce becomes a lot easier. Before some of your recent transformations, what was the service experience like, both for customers calling in and for the advisors trying to support them?
For customers calling in, I think it was still relatively good. There was a lot of, the burden was really handled by the call center team. They were having to mentally catalog everything that was being done, check on multiple systems as they're trying to talk to the customer, and then spend quite a long time post-call, doing their case wrap-up and all of the write-up and the summary of the activity. So I think that our teams and our frontline teams did an amazing job at managing the complexity, and so that it wasn't overly exposed to the customer. And so where we see the real benefit is on all that post-call processing time. So as we put Agentforce in and Service Cloud Voice in, one, there's much more so a single pane of glass for the agents to use. They're not having to think about and know that they have to manually take the notes afterwards, and so they're able just to talk to the customer, engage with the customer, and then all of that post-call processing has been automated off the back of the Agentforce work. And so that has delivered handling time savings, which means reduced wait times, reduced abandonment rates, and all of the customer experience benefits that come with just having less work to do in your operational environment, which has been fantastic.
I think all those enhancements really add up to a full transformation, which is so cool to see.
Yeah.
Can you give us a sense of scale? What does that extensive use look like in practice?
In practice, so for our business, we do roughly 20,000 calls a month. So we're seeing sort of 2 to 3 minute average handling time reduction across 20,000 calls every month in and month out. Just this week, it's probably Friday this week, we're going live with our email triage triage service, again using Agentforce. So we get about 10,000 emails a month from customers and advisors, and having Agentforce review those emails, classify them correctly so they get directly to the teams that need to be able to action them. And a really big one for us is one of our common complaints on emails is that customers or advisors write us like a long email with lots of like 5 or 6 things they want you to do in the email. And so as part of the Agentforce summary on the email content, it's creating the task list in the case to make it very explicit. Like there are 4 things you need to do to complete this email. Like don't just do 2 and close the case, like make sure we close all 4. So seeing like the productivity upside, but the CX upsides are also coming through across a number of dimensions, which is awesome.
Yeah, that task translation is so critical to these things actually being used.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that knowledge strategy is a very important thing to drive effective AI. Can you unpack that? Like, why is knowledge so critical to the work that you're doing?
So I think we all want a common experience, and almost whether you're talking to a person or you're talking to an agent or you're chatting with an agent, like really you want the answer to be consistent. Doesn't matter how you're interacting with the business. And so having the knowledge right now becomes the source of truth for that. It's no longer like locked in people's heads that have been in the business for a long time, but actually the knowledge becomes the core that is serving up the answers. And so what we're working on at the moment, as we're getting into now like more, I suppose, complex activities, and we're talking about underwriting and claims and sort of much more material conversations for our business around how that would work, is it's not only about getting all the knowledge in the same place, but actually codifying some of that knowledge differently so it's really machine consumable. So I think there are great examples, and it is really easy, like upload a PDF and get AI to do some stuff over the top of it, but there is still a margin of variation with that approach, whereas if we can take that PDF and structure it into a JSON format or something that is very explicit that the machine is always going to read and get the same result, like so having that sort of 2 sets of knowledge, the human readable format that we need to put in one place, and then the machine readable version of that content to make sure that through Agentforce we can get a really consistent outcome is a big part of what we need to do as we're getting into the more complex services.
You can't downplay that part of the strategy. I mean, there's no AI without readable formats for data, so it's very important. You mentioned a lot of the time saved for your service reps, kind of with all of this automation, all this AI that you have at hand. What does that give back to your advisors? What are they doing with this extra time? Like, how does that fold into the customer experience?
So there's 2 parts. So part of it, I think, and what we saw in the call center is about half the time saved we were able to, I suppose, realize as a cost saving through our business through attrition, and half the time saved was directly going back into improving the experience. And that was about, like, primarily for customers, it's less wait time. It is being able to get instant responses to their questions and what they need without having to sit in a queue or wait for an agent or do certain things. And like just recently, my dad had a claim. He's an AIA customer. He had a health claim, and like I was trying to get him to fill in his claim application form, and he's like battling. He wasn't doing it, so he didn't want me to do it for him. His first port of call was call the call center, waiting 20 minutes. Sent me an email like that afternoon saying, I waited 20 minutes. I couldn't get to anyone. I need you to do the form for me now. And it's for those types of things where some customers, you just can't channel steer them. And so having like that instant response time across all your channels and having agents to be able to make that possible, I think is something that's never been feasible in the past. And we're now moving into a scenario where it absolutely is. And I don't need to worry about getting my 75-year-old dad to try and use his computer to do the
QA,
thing.
right? Like
exactly,
all in the family. He's got special access. Well, you guys have some really impressive results, truly. I mean, 10% improvement in CSAT, customer satisfaction, 20% reduction in average handle time, and 30% improvement in speed to answer. How did you achieve those gains?
That was all by taking work away. So it really was all in the case wrap up and reducing the post-call time actually by 50%. So we saw our post-call processing time go by 50%, and just by freeing up that time we have more capacity. So you can answer phones faster, customers wait less time, they don't abandon, and just all of the compounding benefits that came from just having, like literally just having less work to do.
Yeah, there's a network effect of that, of impact across the organization. Yeah. Insurance is a very complex kind of business, right? And it often involves sensitive personal data, personal situations. As you explore Agentforce Voice and more autonomous agents, how are you thinking about where AI fits in and where you always need a human in the loop?
Yeah, and for us, there will always be certain interactions and conversations where humans will make a real difference. If you're dealing with a complex claim or a death claim, or somebody on long-term claim that needs support and advice on treatment plans, all of those things are where humans are going to play a very important and pervasive role into the long term. there is then so much volume that is not, far less material. It is, calling up to understand, how my excess is applied, or what my excess is, or what treatment limits for certain types of medical treatments might be. Those are things where they're much more transactional, and if we can offload that work to having AI support a lot of those interactions across all our channels, we can make sure that we can continue to almost over-invest in some of the areas where the human difference makes a real positive
impact. That's your differentiator, right?
Yeah.
Is how humans can play into the experience. Well, let's look ahead a little bit into the future. What opportunity do you see for Agentforce Voice specifically, and what makes you confident it can handle the type of conversations that your customers really need to have?
The consistency between, I think it's easier at the moment, I think for people and me to think about how do we build an experience for chat that is like highly automated and has great access to information and uses AI to power the chat experience. And now knowing that that's really can just be used as is for the voice experience, not having to rethink your channel implementation. You just sort of build it in the channel that feels natural and is going to work, and you can use it everywhere. It feels like before, the CRM was the omni-channel hub and all the channels plugged in, and now the perimeter of what becomes omni-channel is just moving right out to the customer touch point, which I think makes everybody's life, it's 3 times less work you need to do to stand something up consistently in all the different places, which is fantastic.
A lot more agile.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, last question here, looking ahead, you're planning to use Agentforce to automate so many more complex end-to-end workflows in underwriting and claims. Can you give us a sense of what this is going to look like, and which workflow can you think of that currently takes weeks that you can compress into, minutes, days?
In some cases for us, it won't be the work, a number of the workflows take a long time. New business and underwriting does take weeks. A lot of that time is waiting for additional inputs from the customer or additional inputs from the advisor, and that won't change. Customers will continue to apply for business with the information they apply for business, but we'll be able to now have these largely autonomous long-running processes that are able to pick up and act immediately on receipt of that information, and then surface up a recommendation or a decision recommendation to our internal teams to review, and probably do some of the communication around those decisions as well, and make sure we're very conscious around where we keep the people part of our process, and what parts are really more administrative that we can automate with new tooling.
Luke, thank you so much for your time today. It's been such an incredible conversation hearing about your journey, and looking forward to sharing this with the rest of our customers.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun.